What if going all in has finally caught up to the Los Angeles Rams? See, fans love when teams go all in. It's exciting to trade draft picks for proven stars, push cap hits into the future, and add as much talent as possible. The Rams have been on this track for years, shipping off first round picks for Brandon Cooks, Jalen Ramsey, and Matthew Stafford. They've also made splashy acquisitions, such as signing Andrew Whitworth, Robert Woods, and Odell Beckham. They even traded valuable draft picks to rent Von Miller for half a season. But eventually, it catches up to you. In 2022, the Rams weren't able to buy their way out of their problems, falling to a 5-12 record, suffering from an imperfect roster and a rash of major injuries. Now, as we look into 2023, the Rams have some real problems they'll need to solve. First, there's the cap situation. The Rams are currently $9 million over the cap. This is before signing a single free agent, their entire draft class, or leaving a few million every team needs to function within any given season. Now, a lot of this is manageable. The Rams can use a tactic many teams do, by converting base salaries to signing bonuses, essentially paying players cash today, but spreading out the cap hits through future seasons. The tough part for Los Angeles is, the players who you'd want to be pushing their cap hits down the road are aging, and nearing the end of their prime. Aaron Donald is already 31 years old, while Jalen Ramsey and Cooper Kupp are approaching 30. It gets risky anchoring large cap hits to aging veterans. Just ask the Saints. The Rams are still paying for the acquisition of players like Matthew Stafford, Sony Michel, and Troy Hill in the draft, and therefore only have 2 selections, their second and third rounders, within the top 4 rounds. After that, it's 8 picks in rounds 5 through 7. In other words, the front office is low on assets to fix the team. When looking at the roster specifically, there's 4 main issues Les Snead needs to address. First is the offensive line. The Joseph Noteboom dilemma is tough. He was extended on a 3-year, $40 million contract after sitting behind Andrew Whitworth for years and spot starting in 2020. But after a lackluster performance in 2022, where he allowed 5 sacks and 23 pressures in just 6 games, then suffered a brutal Achilles tear, Stafford's blind side is not as secure as it once was. Cutting Noteboom would incur a $13 million dead cap hit and only open up $2.5 million in cap space, so that really wouldn't make any sense. Yet if they could find a trade partner before June, it would clear $7.5 million in space. There's always a shortage of quality left tackles in the league, but with Noteboom's injury and poor performance, it makes it unlikely he's moved. Expect Alaric Jackson to take over at left tackle, assuming Noteboom isn't ready to suit up. Outside of left tackle, right tackle and center are set with Rob Havenstein and Brian Allen. Coleman Shelton should start at one of the guard spots, with Tremaine and Churum taking the other. If the line can't elevate its performance from last season, it negates one of Stafford's biggest strengths, his arm, and the down-the-field passing that comes with it. The Rams lack the draft capital or cash to majorly address the tackle spots, but last year showed how important depth can be. Les Snead needs to prioritize finding some capable backups because players like Havenstein and Allen have had trouble staying on the field. Next is wide receiver. Cooper Kupp is an elite talent that the offense runs through, but as Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams showed in Green Bay together, you need more than one guy. The Rams lack that number 2 playmaker. Allen Robinson was the big-ticket free agent addition last season, looking to replace Odell Beckham and Robert Woods. But the truth is, he looks washed. He's 2 years removed from being a difference-making wide receiver, and after putting up just 33 catches, 339 yards, and 3 touchdowns across 10 games, it remains highly unlikely he bounces back to who he used to be. Unfortunately, there's really no easy way out of his contract this year. It's already been reported the Rams are looking to shop Robinson, but this would likely require the Rams to attach a draft pick for anyone to take on his contract. Behind him is a hodgepodge group of Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, and Ben Skoranek. If this is the group Stafford is left with next September, there will be real limitations to the offensive ceiling and a low floor if Kupp is hurt again. Then there's the safety position. Every team has a position they prioritize a bit less than others. For the Eagles, it's linebacker. For the Patriots, it's wide receiver. For the Rams, it's safety. That being said, both starting safeties Nick Scott and Tyler Rapp are free agents. Jordan Fuller is on the roster, and he was a starter in 2021 before having his role reduced, becoming a sub-package player in his few healthy games in 2022. Last is edge rusher. I'm not sure there's a position on the team that's in a more dire spot. Leonard Floyd was just cut, leaving the Rams with $19 million in dead cap while only saving them $3 million. Behind Floyd, it gets rough. You have 6 edge players, only 2 with over 100 career snaps, and only 1 to ever register even a single sack, and that's Larrell Murchison, who has 3 in his entire career. There's a reason Los Angeles was reportedly so willing to overpay in a trade for Brian Burns from Carolina. The Rams need an offseason plan to add more juice to this unit to take advantage of all the attention Aaron Donald receives inside, because their current collection of players simply won't get it done. The problem is when you're selling off draft picks year over year for proven talent, you become short on young and, most importantly, cheap talent. See, all rookies are cost controlled for 4 years. There's no negotiating permitted for salary increases according to the CBA, but all of LA's best players are heavily compensated, and a few not so great players are also highly paid. The Rams' strategy has been to accumulate a high volume of later round draft picks to offset their lack of first round draft capital, but it hasn't netted them any difference making talent recently. So unlike teams like the Bengals that have T. Higgins dominating at a $2.4 million cap hit, the Rams are hoping players like Kyron Williams can be adequate role players at running back. In the face of these problems, the Rams are going through what is being internally described as a remodel. Bobby Wagner and the team have already mutually agreed to part ways, while Jalen Ramsey is being discussed in trade rumors. The Rams won a Super Bowl on the back of this all-in approach, but finally, the bill has come due, and because of this, the Rams will not be Super Bowl contenders in 2023.